What's up guys, Aradhya Gupta here from Internal Combustion, and today we are actually doing a very interesting video which I have been longing for, and that is a video with the Mahindra Thar and the Jeep Wrangler. I personally think both the vehicles are extremely iconic. They share a very similar history. Probably they come out from the same vehicle, just they started to move in two different directions. And here we have both the vehicles which I feel individually are capable as well as beautifully made, and I do not want to get into the stereotypical vehicle comparisons wherein I'm going to be talking about Mahindra Thar versus Jeep Wrangler. I personally feel that's very childish and very imbecile. But on the other hand, today we'll be talking about the individuality of both these vehicles, and for that we actually are going to go on the trail. Also, we'll be showing you differences in performance when it comes to, let's say, road performance, rough road performance, off-road performance, rock crawling, sand, the differences in weight. And as and when I show you the video, I'll be talking at the back so that you'll get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. Take a look. The Mahindra Thar comes with the independent front suspension and independent axles up front and a solid axle at the back with a multi-link suspension. And the Jeep Wrangler comes with a solid axle up front and at the back, both solid axles with multi-link suspension. Now the thing is, very often people are comparing the Mahindra Thar in terms of handling, that probably the Thar is better or the Jeep Wrangler is better. In terms of off-roading, people say that the Jeep Wrangler is better because it is a solid axle. But there is a very different view which I have to give you, which a lot of the off-roaders would already know, that the reason, so the thing is that there is a reason basically that why the Thar is on an independent front suspension and it has its own benefits, and then there is a very solid reason why the Wrangler has stuck to its roots by keeping both solid axle and it has its own benefits. Let's go to the trail and have a look. Today let's explore why the Mahindra Thar's independent front suspension setup presents limitations in articulation based obstacle as compared to the Jeep Wrangler's solid axle setup. The Wrangler, with solid axles at both the front and rear, as you can see, excels in maintaining consistent ground contact, crucial for navigating uneven terrains. This design allows for superior wheel articulation, ensuring that when one wheel moves up, the opposite wheel compensates, maintaining balance and traction. In contrast, the Thar's independent front suspension setup, while offering a smoother ride on regular roads, limits wheel articulation during off-road adventures, as you can see in this video. Each wheel moves independently, which can be a disadvantage in extreme off-road situations where maintaining tire contact with the ground is essential for stability and control. This fundamental difference in suspension design illustrates the diverse engineering approaches in off-road vehicles, each with its unique strengths and terrain preferences. talking about the wheelbase of the vehicles, both the vehicles have very different wheelbases. The Thar happens to have a shorter wheelbase than the Jeep Wrangler, and because the Thar has a short wheelbase, it has its own set of advantages. And let's say there is an obstacle which has come in front of you, which has a hump, right, which is a very sort of a sharp hump with a lesser length. In that case, the Thar really outperforms the Wrangler. Why? Because the moment the hump, the moment the front wheel crosses the hump, the rear wheel kind of catches up, and the moment the rear wheel catches up, that's the reason why the vehicle tends to not get stuck on the hump. Now moving to the Jeep Wrangler, the Jeep Wrangler has a much longer wheelbase, and the long wheelbase, the biggest advantage is that let's say there is a very steep obstacle in front of you, and steep obstacle in such a fashion that, let's say, there is a ramp and then there is a flat on top, and which is a very steep one, once again repeating. In that case, what happens is, because the Wrangler has a longer wheelbase, and of course there's an engine in the front, and there's because of that there's a certain kind of weight distribution, that there are lesser chances of the vehicle toppling backwards. On the other hand, in this same obstacle, if you put a short wheelbase vehicle like the Mahindra Thar, there are chances that the vehicle might just end up toppling backwards, and those chances are much higher as compared to the chances in the Wrangler. The Mahindra Thar, with its shorter wheelbase, has a distinct advantage over the longer wheelbase of the Jeep Wrangler in certain off-road scenarios like I explained. Specifically when encountering obstacles with a hump in the middle, as you can see. The Thar's shorter wheelbase allows for better approach and departure angles. Although it looks like the Thar is struggling, but honestly that was only because of the tire pressures being super high. This reduces the likelihood of the vehicle's underside making contact with the obstacle, a situation known as beaching, which is more probable with longer vehicles like the Wrangler. Although in this video it appears that the Wrangler is crossing very easily, but when I was behind the wheel of the Wrangler, I know it for a fact that the bottom of the Wrangler was being scraped in comparison to the Thar, which just sort of flew by minus the wheel spin that it had because of the tire pressure. The Thar's compact design enables it to transfer such humps more easily, maintaining traction and momentum where a longer vehicle might struggle. In the shifting sands of off-roading, weight is key. The lighter Mahindra Thar demonstrates its prowess, effortlessly climbing sandy obstacles where the heavier Wrangler falters. Its agility allows it to glide over soft terrain, avoiding the trap of sinking, a clear advantage in challenging sandy environments. Guys, both the 4x4 vehicles are, I would say, extremely capable off-roaders, and both the vehicles are very special. They have a very special place in my heart. This one's good for some reasons. This one has its own individuality, and the Thar has its own individuality. And I mean, there are so many different kinds of people complaining that, the Thar has poor quality interiors, there is a lot of rattling. Well, to those people, let me tell you guys, I own the Wrangler, and the Wrangler also happens to have a fair bit of, rattlety going on inside the interiors. But to all those people who are commenting about the rattling noises and this and that and parts breaking and all of those things in the Thar or the Wrangler, I just have one thing to say, guys. It's a Jeep thing. You wouldn't understand.